What's up, guys? My name is Mike. This is All Things Fish, and thanks for tuning in. I know it's been a while, and I'm sure you've been wondering if I fell off the face of the planet or exactly what happened. Unfortunately, with global events and the nature of my job, things have been fairly busy, which, as you can see, has kept me not only away from YouTube, but kind of away from the fish tank. It doesn't look that great. So I've kind of been trying here and there to get it back on the right track, and it's not terrible. I'll show you guys some pictures from the past couple months of how it's progressed and regressed, and I'll tell you some things about what I've done to try to get it right on the right track. However, today's video is not quite about that. We're going to talk about a product that's on the market and is designed more or less to alleviate, one problem, and that's the less surface scum, if you will, that a lot of people end up with in their tanks. And that scum, as you'll see here in just a minute, is more or less usually the result of a buildup of proteins in the water. Those proteins kind of sit up on the surface and collect, and sometimes they can form kind of a little bit of a foam. Usually it's just kind of a film that you'll see in just a moment here. All right, now here's the 125. Again, it's hasn't changed much in the past few months. I just did a big water change on it, so there's a little bit of haze, a bunch of micro bubbles are floating around. But the point of this video is to talk about an issue kind of like this, where you see kind of some bubbles forming. Usually a bubble floats to the surface, and it'll just kind of disappear on its own. But you get some proteins in the water and whatnot, usually from a lot of flake foods can often cause that. Degrading biomaterials can cause that as well. But it can range anywhere from like a light foam, like I talked about before, just to a really undesirable sludge on the surface. And that is not only unsightly, but that can also cause some problems due to, with limited surface agitation, that scum on the surface will reduce your gas exchange, which could potentially lead to a reduced oxygen content in your water column. Now, the product that we're going to talk about today is this Odyssey. It's called the Clean 100 aquarium filter with a surface skimmer. So again, this is the Odyssey Clean 100 aquarium filter with surface skimmer. Says it's suitable for 30 to 50 liter aquariums. Now, despite the name where it says it's aquarium filter with a surface skimmer, I bought this for the sole intent of being a surface skimmer. Now, all it is more or less a small plastic overflow box with a power head at the bottom. And how it works is it pulls water right off the surface of the tank and then throws it through the impeller on that power head and basically breaks up those proteins and that sludge, potential foam, and just spreads it back out in the water. So this gets rid of the unsightliness and reduces the film on the surface, which increases your gas exchange rate. Now, there's a lot of products out there. Some of them, they'll just simply fit over your filter your filter inlet or uptake tube. They have a floating ring, and it draws water down from that ring, skimming it off the surface into your filter itself. There's like I said, a wide variety of products out there. I picked this one because my buddy had it and he said that it worked well for him, so I'd give it a shot. This is largely just a demo of what this product is for and how it works. So we're gonna open it up and we'll talk about how to set it up real quick. All right, I picked this up on, shamefully, Amazon. Now, generally I don't try to order a ton from Amazon because I like to help out fellow hobbyists and order from other shops, but I wanted it quick so that I could make this video quick while I was thinking about it. So we'll open this bad boy up. I think I paid all of about $15 for it. So for the sake of a demonstration and to see how well it does or doesn't work to remove that surface scum and increase surface agitation, we're going to take a look at it. All right, right away out of the box, a few components. So this will sit on the rim of the tank. This is the main part of the unit. You get some hardware there. Everything's packaged about as you'd expect. So taking a look at this quick, you can see where we have this sliding overflow. You can kind of see the wears there, right there. And then they include a couple pieces of foam in there. I'll probably just remove those. I don't really need any filtration in addition to what I already have in the tank. As you guys know, this tank is run with a couple Aquatop CF500 UV canister filters. So I don't need any additional filtration. So this is simply to increase surface agitation and reduce that surface scum, again, which is caused by proteins, some of those decaying organics and whatnot. So that's the actual unit itself. Also included is an elbow and a spray bar, and they fit together quite simply like so. Another elbow, they just slide together, and then boom shakalaka, this is the unit itself. Spray bar, it's just friction fit, they slide together. And then of course standard wall outlet. Obviously I'm in the United States, so there we are. Easy enough. Like I said, there is some hardware in here, so we'll take the hardware out of the bag, we'll get this thing assembled real quick, and then we'll see if we can throw it on the tank. So digging into the bag of hardware here, got a couple plastic screws, what could potentially be stainless, I hope, for $16. I wouldn't get your ropes up too high. And then, like I said, this bracket to hang it over the edge of your tank. So how this whole thing fits together is you will throw the hanging bracket on the side. There's a slot on the back for it. Oops, see if I can get this screw off of here. So simply enough, take that screw, slide it through, adjust it to your desired height. So how high or low you want the unit to sit in the water. That nut will go on the inside, and then your overflow itself, slide right there. And then you'll use these plastic screws. You'll put this on the rim of your tank, use those plastic screws more or less just to hold it in place like so. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing on the tank, and then we'll plug it in and talk about it a little bit, and that'll be the end of this video. And then in a couple weeks we'll follow up and see what we think. All right, as you can see here, we got it squared away up there. So this is a 125, so it's got a thicker rim. So the package actually includes more or less for a rimless tank, and then a bracket for a little bit wider tank like mine. You can see the overflow floats around, and we'll go ahead and plug it in real quick and see how she runs. All right, power's on. As you can see, the spray bar that I set up to run right along the surface there, pardon the garbage, is all squared away. You can see this overflow here. Like I said, it floats, and you can see it running through kind of the screens there and down inside. I've seen some other models here, and they don't have as much area on the actual overflow, so it gets clogged up pretty easily. Like you saw, I had some floating plant debris in there that could potentially clog it up, but real easy. You can pop this off, go rinse in the sink, pop it back down, and you're good to go again. It's quiet. I can't hear it at all. Seems like it has decent flow. I have that spray bar pointed towards the surface just for increased surface agitation. And again, how it works is so that slime and sludge, anything that's scum that's sitting on the surface, gets pulled through and just pumped back out into the water column, gets chopped up and broken up, and then just dissolved right back into the water column. Now that doesn't export any of those nutrients, because that, like I said, that scum and sludge is generally some proteins floating around that have more or less precipitated out of the water, and they're kind of forming a sludge on top. That doesn't remove them. It just kind of dissolves them back into the water column, so that you don't have that unsightly slime on top. Like I said, which could potentially reduce your gas exchange and reduce your oxygen content. So this is a surface skimmer, not to be confused with a protein skimmer. So a protein skimmer actually is generally found in saltwater tanks, and it performs a completely different function, where you'll use generally a needle wheel impeller with an air venturi system setup, and you use a water pump, and then it'll actually create a foam, and that foam will pour over into a collector cup, and that removes any of those proteins, as the name indicates, a protein skimmer, and other compounds. It creates a foam. That foam collects in a cup, and then you can dump that cup, and that exports those nutrients out of the water. So this surface skimmer does not export any nutrients, but it does increase surface agitation. It'll reduce that surface scum. Right. And then when you add that surface agitation in there, depending on your lights, usually with a smaller, more like a point source type light, that surface agitation, you can kind of see a little bit of a shimmer in the tank right there. Again, the tank's messy. It's not super evident, but again, the smaller your light source is, that'll be more evident. So some of your lights, like your Astas or your Kessels, they're a very small light. With that surface agitation, it'll really give you that shimmer effect down towards the bottom. My camera's not really picking it up much. You can just kind of see it a little bit there. All right, guys, that's it. So pretty quick little 2-minute setup. All you need is a Phillips screwdriver, really, to put this bad boy together. Again, this is the Odyssey. It's referred to as the Clean 100. It's labeled as an aquarium filter with a surface skimmer. I'm simply using it as a surface skimmer. If you had a very small tank, you could fill this with some media, and if you had a low bio load, it would probably work okay as a filter. Not great, would not recommend it. So my advice is to use this simply as a surface skimmer to increase surface agitation, reduce some of that surface scum, and we're gonna let this run for a couple weeks and see what we think about it. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.